Actually, and so I'm not very good at math at all. I'm probably one of the only people that works at Datacratic that doesn't have some sort of advanced degree in computer science. So I'm going to do my best to try to explain what we do. You can sort of read this slide to get a sense of what kind of company that we are. And so we're a software company. We don't sell media. We don't sell any data or broker it in any way. But we sell software to people, and many of them are in the business of digital marketing and digital advertising. And some of our clients are here in this room. And Ashish actually loaded me as one of our biggest clients. So we always like to say that we're democratizing machine learning. So we make machine learning available to product managers and people who want to incorporate real-time machine-based decisioning into their products. So what is machine learning? And so the fancy definition is that it's a branch of artificial intelligence. The less fancy definition is that it's just simply a way that software can recognize patterns. When a software application can recognize a pattern, it can make a prediction based on that pattern. And then those predictions can then be turned into decisions. So if we think about the kinds of pain points that machine learning can address from a marketer's perspective or from a publisher's perspective, today, a lot of publishers are challenged in being able to serve impressions to users who actually have a high probability of clicking on that ad. So it is a bit of a spray and pray approach, as Mark Sherman mentioned earlier in his video. From a marketer's point of view, a lot of marketers can't target users who have a high probability of converting. RTB is kind of half the story. You're able to target users on an individual level, but without some really fancy data and without some real-time prediction, it's really difficult to get any kind of a sustainable cost per acquisition. And then even when you have first-party data, as Ashish was talking about, you can't really scale that. And I'm going to get into that in a minute and sort of what some of the challenges are around that. So certainly the act of collecting that data and putting it into a system where it becomes addressable to you as a marketer or addressable to you as a publisher is really important, but then you need to be able to scale that out. Am I hitting the right button? No, there we go. So this is, so what am I talking about when I talk about scale? So this is an example of first-party data. You have a lot of people who you know a great deal of information about them. You understand a lot of attributes about them. Some of those can be things like age and demographic data, but then others are behavioral attributes. What part of your website do they like to visit? Which channel do they come to your website through? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it a search engine? That data is very unique to you, but it's very difficult to make that scale. So on the other hand, you can use third-party data. Well, third-party data is great. It's got a lot of scale. You can find a lot of people, but it's not very unique to you. This is data that systems collect from other publishers or sometimes from publicly available sources, and everybody pretty much has equal access to it. So what does machine learning do, and how does machine learning help solve this problem? Well, you can use first-party data as a seed segment, and then you can tell the machine, I want you to learn everything you can about this first-party data segment. I want the machine to understand all of the patterns in the data and all of the patterns that are available from those first-party attributes. I then want the machine to take everything it learns and apply it to a much larger set of users using third-party data. And then the machine is able to detect similar patterns from one group to the other. So it understands who are your best customers, what are those data attributes, and then it can find people in this much larger universe who have the same attributes and exhibit the same behavioral sequences. It can then apply a probability score to those users and say, these are the users that have the highest probability of becoming your best customers. And then those segments can be pushed into, as Ashish was talking about, an ad server, an RTB system, your email program, whatever the case may be. And then you can go out and target those segments. So when you think about use cases for audience modeling and for machine learning, you can identify users who actually have a high probability of performing whichever behavior your campaign is targeting, whether it's clicks, conversions, view-based conversions, click-based conversions, whatever your objectives as a marketer are. Conversion optimization, segment reach extension. You might have a pool of auto-intenders, but there just aren't very many of them, and you need to find more. So you need to find more people who have the same behavioral attributes as this pool of auto-intenders. And so when you think about a case study, and I'm actually using a case study from Lotame, and this is a company called Rise Interactive, which is an e-commerce agency in the United States. And this is Lotame Optimizer, which is a product that's powered by Datacratic's machine learning software. So users who were targeted as part of the Lotame Optimizer campaign were 129% more likely to click on an advertisement. That's because you're using machine learning algorithms to predict which people are most likely to click and which people are most likely to engage. Users who were targeted had a 372% increase in conversion rate. Again, because you're using machine learning and you're recognizing the patterns of the people who are most likely to be your best customers. And then, of course, because of that, the cost per acquisition was reduced really dramatically by 64%. So when we think about how to use data to drive performance, media optimization to reach your target audience, first-party attributes to create a unique audience seed segment, third-party attributes to scale it out, and then machine learning and modeling to predict and target the best prospects. And so I want to talk about how machine learning now applies also to real-time bidding, because if you think about the data that's available on a user, you effectively have a user ID, an event ID, and a timestamp. So who is the user, what did they do, and at what time of day? When you think about the data that comes in through a real-time bidding system, you have a user ID, an event ID, because you know the URL of the ad that they visited, and a timestamp, so you know exactly when that happened. So from a data modeling and machine learning point of view, those patterns are very, very similar. So you can take very similar techniques and adopt them to RTB optimization as well. And so the results from using the same sort of techniques in an RTB environment, somebody changed my slide, are very similar, and you can dramatically reduce CPA, you can dramatically reduce the CPM rate that you pay, and you have an overall very dramatic reduction in the cost per acquisition of your users. And so that is the end of my presentation. So we'll be available for questions, I think, after the panel. And thanks very much.